Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome to episode 2 of the Real Estate Revolution. This is your guy, Mike Jacks with LPT Realty, and I got my co host. I'm going to let him introduce himself.
What's up, everybody? Eric Berry here, Rocket Digital Marketing. Just glad to have the second episode of the show, and I hope it goes off good. Like I said, we are missing one guest, but we got Victor on with us today.
Right on, guys. And the one guest is Wendy. So we all want to say a prayer for her real quick. She was going to be on the show with us tonight, but due to some bad weather in the Northeast, power outages, she was unable to join. So we just want to give her our thoughts and safety. And if she's able to listen to the show, Wendy, we are showing you love no matter what, whether you're physically here or not. We hope you nothing but safety first and foremost. And we also got my man Randall in the back handling all the work, man, that I couldn't do. We got him doing his thing, man. So we want to give him a big shout out. And we got a special guest, man, who's about to come on. He's with the LPT Realty. Let him introduce himself, man. Go ahead, take it over, baby.
Hey guys, Victor Reynoso here, real estate agent with LPT Realty.
There we go, man. And y'all, I want y'all to look at that man's shirt, man. This is how looking fresh over there. Y'all heard me sound with LPT Realty. Look at I am the before, he is the after. Okay, so there we go, right there. So, hey, let's jump into it, man. So, Victor, thank you, man, for joining us. And if you guys don't know, Victor is actually my sponsor. Just so y'all know, man, I had to throw that out there. This good-looking young man is my sponsor, so I'm very proud of that, man. I'm glad to have him right in my corner, man.
Likewise, man.
So, Victor, man, let's talk, man. Now, I know what you do, but the people don't. So let's talk a little bit about you, man. So, real quick, man, can you tell us a little bit about, like, why you joined? Like, how did you even hear about LPT Realty? Who are these guys? How did you even hear about them?
Yeah, so when I first heard of them, I didn't know who they were. First time hearing of LPT Realty, Robert Palmer, coming with a new brokerage in town. And one of our colleagues from our older brokerage mentioned it to me. So shout out to Matt Nagy. He presented the opportunity to me. I'm an open-minded person, so I went over there and I wanted to see what it was all about. I mean, he had already made the decision to move. So I said, wow, this got to be pretty good, in order for you to move from what we had. And, it was a social event. They invited me out to Arnold Palmer golf tournament that PGA Tour comes to here in Dr. Phillips. And, it was new to me. I was actually getting into golf myself. So I figured, hey, let me go watch some pros and get to know LPT Realty. So, it was a win-win. So I went there with an open mind and I was able to actually meet Robert Palmer, our CEO. And he actually presented the opportunity of what LPT Realty is. So I was able to hear from him. Not from anybody else. So that was very powerful for me.
Wow. Now, I know you mentioned golf. Did you get any holes in one?
No holes in one. We spent about an hour and a half watching some golf. And then from there, we went over to another location. And that's where they had the LPT merchandise and marketing out. And that's where I was able to see what LPT was, and it was a lot of not merchandise, it's actually marketing. As a realtor with LPT Realty, we have what's called a power pack box, and that was laid out in all the tables. Our yard signs were laid out, so a little bit of marketing that was very well put together by them.
Wow, so you got to see some of the listing tools that LPT presents. Now, I know how you heard about LPT. Now, tell the people, why did Victor join LPT? What were some of the things about LPT that attracted you for you to say, hey, this is it. This is where I need to be?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for me, the number one thing was assessing where I was in my business. And the opportunity that LPT presented to me was that I can choose two business plans. With my previous brokerage, I only had one option. Either you take that or you don't take it. With LPT, there's two business models. What is kind of a traditional split in the industry, which is a 80-20%, which is, again, what was my previous brokerage. But now I had an opportunity to move over to 100% commission and still have all the benefits that a 80-20 realtor would join at that brokerage. So the difference was the business plans for me. That was the biggest thing. So I had a choice. And then number two became the marketing materials that we receive for free. So it kind of became like, this is too good to be true. And it took me some time to make the decision, but yeah.
That's interesting. You said you had the option of choosing two compensation plans because me, when I came to LPT, a lot of people asked me the same question. And the funny thing is, the brokerages that are split, that have their splits, whether it's 70-30, 80-20, 90-10, whatever it may be, people say, well, why would I come there if I could just join 100%? Because they offer 100%. Well, their split is the same as everyone else. And I tell people quickly, the split is not the same when they look at the shares of stock that they get, when they look at the number of top tier agents at six. So basically, if you guys don't know, just to add on to what Victor said at LPT, that's pretty cool about the two comp plans that I like. Hey, if you want to come to 80-20 and you want to get more stock, like quadruple the shares of stock for the type of team you're building, and other benefits with along with rev share and those type things, you have that. But if you don't want to build a team, you're not forced. And you can do like Victor and be a business builder and go 100% commission off the top rather than giving a brokerage like a fee, a certain amount, if you will, to be able that you got to cap, to be able to get to that point. So that's pretty good that you brought that up. So you have two compensation plans. Now, can you switch between those comp plans for the people that don't know about LPT? How does that work? You choose one. Let's say you don't like it. Can you switch? Can you do that?
Yeah. The business and the company allows you to switch. So I'm a business builder, 100% commission. I have the opportunity to switch over to the 80-20 compensation plan. And that what it'll do is that'll unlock what we have is the revenue share. So, if you have people in our industry in that business model, it's called a downline. If you have a lot of agents in your downline, you're going to benefit off the company dollars that they're putting into the brokerage. Then the brokerage incentivizes you for their production, right? But the way it's structured is that anybody can make, more money than the person that brings you into the company. And it's a sweet model, really. So you're able to switch. Now you can't do it 1 month and then the next month you got to spend some time in that business plan, and then go from there.
Got it. Now that sounds like it gives people the flexibility to choose how they want to model their business. If they come into a split brokerage, they are forced to be in that model, and they might not be a team builder. So they
Right.
want to be a business builder. That gives you the flexibility to really have control over the type of business you run.
Right.
That's awesome, man. And I think that's what's attracting a lot of agents to LPT. And also, might I add, there's no monthly fees, guys. So while you're in the 80-20 or the 100%, whichever one is fitting to you, if you have a team of agents, 80-20 is probably a good route. If you don't have a big team or a very small team or independent, 100% builder is probably the better route. But you have the option with no monthly fees. Can't beat that. That's awesome, man. So I know you mentioned earlier, Victor, about some of the things you saw when you were golfing and you got introduced to the company. Now, can you give us a little bit of detail about like some of the things that LPT Realty does to invest in their agents? Like you mentioned some of the tools. What are some of the things that LPT does for you to invest in you to help grow your brand and your business?
Okay, so in that aspect, what they do is they have corporate members. So, on the previous brokerage, and I'll talk a little bit about the differences because it's good to highlight that. In the previous model, we had mentors and we had people that are in the industry that are licensed agents. So whether they're a realtor or they're a broker, but they're licensed and they're competing for business also. In this model, we have corporate members that are not competing with you for business. So their whole duty is to help you out. They're corporate employees, and that means a lot to me because now I know that their sole job is just to help out, or they're readily available in comparison to the other brokerage where it can become a little difficult to get the answer that you're looking for. Maybe that person is on the field, getting their own business. So that was a good aspect of it. And another thing is, for example, marketing. So we have corporate members that help out with, for example, Canva. Just today, I spent about an hour going into our Facebook group that we have for realtors, and there we have links. So we have Canva templates that are made for us, that we can just go into Canva and make it our own, switch out some colors, a little bit of wording here and there. But I don't have to break my head to figure out a post, for example. I don't have to break my head to put a template together for, a new team member coming to the team. All that is done for us. So that's very, very big for me, as we're not spending that much time putting all of these things together. And yeah, I mean, I think that should answer the question. You let me know if you need more info.
No, I think you did great, man. And like, even as an LPT agent myself, people will see this show and think, well, these guys just talking about LPT because they work there and they're trying to recruit. But the reality is, LPT is actually a real estate first business.
Yeah.
Because what Victor's trying to say to you guys, and he spoke well, and I'm just going to add on to it real quick before I get to the next question. There are going to be people who watch this, because I'm aware. I know people see it and they're going to say, well, they're just copying this brokerage, or they're just a recruiter. Well, let me ask you this. If you are helping somebody build their brand and their business, and you have a model that is proven, right? And you're able to take someone's model and expand on it like other brokerages have done, and you're able to do it at a low cost, low to zero cost, while investing more tools in the agent, what kind of compensation would you expect in return? And the answer to that is, it's very minimal compensation in return. Now, as they grow, of course, they get it. But up front, I ain't paying no monthly fees, right? And I'm saving $1,400 in listing power tool equipment. And that kind of goes into my next question. So for anybody out there thinking about this just being a recruiting thing, as far as a brokerage, just want to say, hey, do you believe that you should not be compensated for investing in agents? Who does something for, how would they make money and last and sustain? So people have to make income. But if it was solely about recruiting, guess what? I don't get shares of stock if I don't produce. So I have to do real estate. I have to be able to do transactions. That's how stocks are awarded. So just hope that clears up any of that, misperceptions out there, But Victor, let me ask you this now. Now you got with LPT. LPT has a lot of different types of perks. Now I know they offer their stuff agent. Is there any particular perks that made you like, hey man, I'm not looking back. This is what I love about LPT. Is there any perks that excite you? Because there's so many, but do you have like one or maybe two that excite you the most?
Well, the one that excites me the most is the auto recruit. So as you're mentioning, people may think that we're looking to recruit, but myself, I'm more of a real estate guy. I mean, I was telling the guys that I got into real estate as an investor, and then I got licensed as a realtor. For me, I love real estate. So this whole recruiting thing with brokerages and, that's all new to me. And if I do recruit, it's to actually, talk about the good of the company and what it's done for me. And then, just let people make their own decision. But when the company says that you don't have to focus on any of that, we're going to recruit for you. We're going to allocate company dollars and actually recruit. For example, as you do business in real estate, the company will look at the other person on the transaction. So whether I'm listing or if I bring a buyer to the table, if that transaction closes, the company will go ahead and see if that other realtor is with another brokerage, and they'll do that on their own on my behalf. So that's an amazing perk. So if that agent decides to join, they're going to be joining under my downline, and then I'll be, the company will benefit also, but I'll also be a beneficiary of all of that, as the company can grow my downline without me doing anything. And then, at that point, I've thought about, okay, what if the company recruits, 10, 15 agents on my behalf? What then? At that point, I would love to be a leader to them if I'm in that position, to be a leader for them, because I'm not sure where they are in their business, right? They could be seasoned agents, but that perk was very, very big for me. I mean, I don't have to put that much energy into that aspect. I'm a transaction. I love real estate. And as you're telling me, this is it for me. I mean, our CEO, like, he's very down to earth person. He wants to grow the company, right? So one of the things that stood out to me as you were saying that this is it, like, there's no turning back, is I'm sitting inside of his private plane going down to meet him.
Wow.
Because he opened up the opportunity to agents, in order to bring, brokers down to meet him and find out about LPT. So he put the charter together with his private plane, allowed us agents to bring brokers down to him so he can
Wow.
meet them one-on-one and have that conversation with them, right? So, I mean, very new in the brokerage, and I'm already allowed that opportunity to be in a private plane, and I mean, it was just mind blowing experience.
I don't know any agents that joined their brokerage and hopped on a private plane. I don't know any. I'm gonna be honest with you. So that's pretty damn cool. I mean, that's something I didn't even think about. You know, as we're talking, when you brought it up, I'm like, yeah, they did do that, right?
Yeah.
And I guess
Yeah.
that shuts down that theory of they're just going to be another recruiting brokerage because it's an auto recruit. We don't need to recruit. So no, we don't. There's an auto recruit just and make it clear for you outsiders, because I know some of y'all gonna be watching. Debbie down there, skeptics. It's expected, right? Auto recruit does not mean, hey, let me just tell you what you want to hear. Auto recruit means let me inform you of what you don't know and you decide. Because remember, recruiting is two-way street. They're just sending you information about the company, things that you don't know, and then you as a person, a recipient of that information, have to make a decision. So, you know, it's not like nobody's going to hassle or hound you. As you can see, the company's growing, and they didn't auto recruit me at all. I didn't do any transactions. I was simply informed. So that's what they're going to do when they auto recruit. But I tell you what, with all this good stuff, man, because I could talk all day. I just see Eric over there giving me like the energy vibe. Like, man, he's excited. He got some questions for you, man. So let's bring Eric on, man, because I know Eric, man, he's been sitting there and he got some dope questions coming up for you, man. Eric, come on up in here, brother.
Yeah, I was laughing about the recruiting thing. I had a message from an EXP agent about 15 minutes ago trying to recruit me. So that's he clicked on one of my Facebook ads. I'm like, hey, look, new lead. Nope. Oh, wait 1 second. He's trying to recruit me to EXP. So the auto recruit thing definitely sounds interesting. You know, to have something like that. That's pretty cool. I think. One thing I like, you know, with us over at Rocket Digital, you know, Randall and I always like to know what agents are doing to kind of get themselves out there to draw those potential clients in. You know, most times deals don't happen right then and there, but Victor, what do you? I think you and I talked a moment. I know you said your sphere and all is your a big piece of your referral business, but outside your sphere, what other avenues are you bringing clients in with? I mean, what's your favorite marketing channel for that stuff?
So I go back and forth between Facebook and Instagram. Um, I have a business page for both.
Right.
And like I said, I have YouTube channel also for my investment company. And then for my realtor side of the business, I also have a channel for that. But mainly I see myself more on Instagram and secondly on Facebook. So, you know, very easy platforms to use. I just started using a little bit of TikTok. So, you know, getting used to that a little bit. But yeah, mainly those two. And, you know, just
Awesome,
having
man.
fun with the videos and try to go live as much as possible.
Right, right. Yeah, video is where it's at these days. I mean, if you're not getting on video, that's I think it's going to be the downfall for a lot of the agents who don't want to try out new things. And it's funny you say TikTok because you know, talking with Mike, I've got a couple pieces I'm working on, so I'm going to start to get out there on that side of the business. Can't dance or anything, but I can at least go. I can go show some homes.
Yeah.
I saw a TikTok earlier today with it's like the two real estate brothers, two investor guys, and the one sitting there dancing around, pointing everywhere where it's supposed to be at, and
Yeah.
he's totally wrong with his brother's like, no, you don't do it like that. You do it like this, and then after they go back and forth, his brother gets out, does it perfectly, and then it's just I'm like. That's what everyone thinks TikTok is just dancing around. But in our industry, what you see most with that's you know a lot of property tours, you know, buyer
Yeah.
seller tips, you know, just some of that good information out there to kind of give value back to those customers to show why it's important to work with you as a real estate agent. So, uh,
Absolutely.
but yes, so on the YouTube side, has that been doing pretty good for you? I know that right there does provide a lot of value and gets a lot of information out there. But where do you see YouTube going with this stuff? You see TikTok taking over YouTube? I hear a lot of people saying that.
I mean, they're two completely different platforms. Um, I wouldn't put one over the other um, per se, but the way I look at it, yeah, it looks like TikTok is more easy to use and a lot more users. And YouTube is more on the informational side, and you know, TikTok you keep the videos a little bit shorter, maybe a little bit funnier, or like you said with the dancing. Um, but you know, I just put content out. I really don't, give it too much thought. Like this is the better one or that one. I just try to give him enough information on all platforms.
Awesome, man. Yeah, and we'll link your channel up with anyone who's interested in the investing or whatever it may be. Definitely, we'll have that information in the description below. That way, people can see it. So, cool stuff, man. Now, I'll let you take back over there, Mike.
Yeah, man, and to kind of piggyback off of that, I know you mentioned earlier with you do a little bit of investing in your portfolio as well. So Victor's not only a man that can help you buy or sell real estate. Victor's also knowledgeable and does investing, which is another avenue of real estate. So can you talk to us, man? Because we're in one of the hottest states in America, if not the hottest, for investing. Now, people coming to Florida, they want to buy properties. They want to make money. They want to get on this cash cow. But there are people out there, Victor, that says, should I go the long-term route for investing or should I go the short-term rental route? What would you recommend?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it really comes down to how clear you are in your investment. I mean, I can tell you pros and cons on both, but it's going to come down to individually on that person and what they're looking to have as their business plan, what their outcome is. For me, I mean, it's all numbers based. Real estate is numbers. So short-term rental is more beneficiary than long-term rental. It's just a numbers game. So you have an opportunity to make more money on a short-term rental as it's a revolving door than putting a long-term tenant in there. I mean, long-term tenant, you're gonna have a fixed income on that aspect, whether it's 12 months or 6 months, whatever the case may be on that contract. And then the short term, it's you kind of control that a little bit more. I mean, you can play around with the daily rates, right? So if it's a hot season, you're going to go up a little bit more on the daily rates for the short term rental. If it's not so hot, then bring it down a little bit so you can get more activity. But at the end of the day, I've seen short term rental being better business plan than long term. But again, it depends on the individual person and what they're looking to do for their portfolio.
Now, somebody that's not accustomed to Florida or might be new to Florida, if they say, hey, hearing what Victor just said, short-term rental can have some really good success, do you have any tips for people that have the concern or fear of not being able to have an occupancy in Orlando in particular? Because I hear Orlando has a theme park. It's a rodent with ears. We all know what it is. If you don't know, by the way, Disney World is what I'm referring to, because there might be one person who's never heard of it. I don't assume. We got people living who knows where, right? It's real estate. So what if someone says, hey, I want to buy a short-term rental, but I'm afraid that I might not have some occupants, for a season with short-term rental, like COVID hit? What are some of the concerns? Like, what's your response for that? Because, I see people saying, man, it's Orlando. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's going to be a risk in anything. Real estate,
Right.
it's risk adverse. So you want to minimize your risk. So in that aspect, the only thing I can recommend is, if you work with me, I have resources that I'm looking at the market for short-term rental. So I'm able to see what the daily rate is going in that neighborhood. And then we're able to see and compare, right? So that house has XYZ, you may have to do this to your house and do XYZ in order for you to get your clients. And then, if they're starting out, it's going to be a little bit hard. I mean, you're not going to have, your I's dotted or your T's crossed, right? You're going to go through some challenges, and that's how you learn. In this business, you got to pay to learn. Don't be afraid, and you got to go and get yourself somebody that's knowledgeable, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of strategies in real estate, which is what I absolutely love. It's not monotonous. Every day is different. But when it comes down to the asset, you want to study what others are doing, make it your own. Don't get greedy with your nightly rates. Put something there that's going to bring clients through the door. And as your business start building, you're going to get more clients through the door. You want to go after those great reviews that people are spending great memories at your property. So provide a good property that they're going to leave you a great review, and your business will take off.
Now, I've never done this on the show because this is show 2, right? But I'm going to do one because it's my boy Victor. So I got to do this, man. I got to do it. Now, my next question would be, what are some of the challenges of being a realtor? So what I've never done was ask a question and answer it, right? I'm going to still let you answer it, but I'm going to give you an answer that one of Victor's challenges, right? I'm going to just put it out there. Seeing my San Francisco 49ers beat your Dallas Cowboys. All right, go ahead.
One of the challenges, well, for me, it's got to be the pipeline. As a realtor, you got to keep your pipeline as full as possible. So,
Right.
you don't want your pipeline drying out. That way you have X amount of calls to make, X amount of showings to do, X amount of listing appointments to make. You want to keep that pipeline flowing. It's a numbers game.
Right. And I agree. And I had to throw a little jab at the Cowboys. I had to do it.
All good.
No, but you know what? I think you're absolutely correct. I mean, the pipeline is important, right? That's one of the essential basis of success. And if you don't have the pipeline, hey, it's kind of like, well, what do you do? So I definitely want to get my man Eric on some questions here because I know he had a couple of things too for the people, man, that I didn't even think of. I'm like, man, that's some damn good questions. So I want to make sure we get Eric in on here. Eric, man, come on back, brother. We need them questions.
Awesome, man. Hey, so Victor, I know you do a lot of the investing here, and kind of a topic I've heard has been pretty popular lately is the Section 8 housing and stuff. Do you do anything with that, or have any guidance or insight on that at all? Or
Yeah, I have. Actually, my first investment property, without knowing anything about real estate, I bought a 3-family home in Passaic, New Jersey, and I inherited a Section 8 tenant with that purchase. So I was able to learn quite a bit. Definitely recommend it. It's not as bad as people make it out to be. But what I would say is get yourself a working Section 8 tenant. So somebody that actually has a job and they're not home all the time, because then that kind of person is going to be a little bit, it's just going to be different. They're going to want more done to the house as they're spending more time in the house. Not that the house, there's anything wrong with it, but in my experience with that kind of tenant that I had, she wanted more fixes to the house. But the house, and at that point, I call it a house, but it's an apartment.
right?
The apartment passes inspection from Section 8. They come inspect the property, make sure that it's in living condition. If it gets a green light, you really don't have to do anything to it. It's passed, right?
Okay.
But in my scenario, if they're not working Section 8, then you're going to be getting into a little bit more trouble with that kind of tenant. For me, if I was to build another portfolio of rental units, single family houses, I would go the Section 8 route.
Okay.
It's guaranteed money from the government, and and the tenant, they'll pay a portion of that, maybe 10% of the rent,
Right.
maybe a little bit more depending on what they're making with their job. But yeah, it's a great program.
Awesome, man. Now,
And the last thing I want to add is that if that tenant doesn't take care of that unit, they could potentially lose their Section 8 privileges. And if they do lose their Section 8 privileges, they'll never get that privilege again.
okay.
So they're aware of that. So, for the most part, they got to maintain that unit. And you can hang it over their head and say, hey, you're not maintaining it. Potentially
Right.
you can lose your privilege, and they'll know. They'll act a little bit better after that.
Now, with that, so I hear people talking about, not being able to find some in their area, and they go outside their state to look in different states. Any recommendations you could give for anybody who is actually looking to start to head down that path? I mean, I don't know if you have a video on your YouTube channel or something like that, but I mean, what's some pointers you could give for people who actually want to start that path, whether it's in their hometown or in a different city?
Yeah, so if they're looking at different towns, different states, what I would advise them to do is just to kind of, if they're not going to self-manage, if they're going to be looking for a property manager which is what I would advise if you're investing out of state, get yourself a property manager. That way you're not doing it on your own and tackling more than you can chew on. You might want to make sure that the state is landlord friendly. So, for example, New York is not landlord friendly. They side more with the tenants than with the landlord. So you want to have a little bit more on your end, right? You don't want to give too much control. So definitely find those states that are landlord friendly, and get yourself a property manager for those out of state rentals. If it's
Yeah.
inside of your own state or your city, you could self manage. I self managed 5 units, 5 single family homes before. It's not that crazy if you have good uh, properties in good condition. That way, you're going to minimize your phone calls if anything was to go wrong. But that's one. And then, if you're going to have a property manager, lean on them for those rules and regulations. And trying to lose my train of thought here, but you want to have your lease in place that is going to be uh, to your benefit, right? So have things in there that puts responsibility on those tenants to upkeep the property, and that way you don't have so much overhead on your end.
Gotcha, man. Somebody's cooking around here.
Into the kitchen and drop something. But hey, that shows the show, man. We are live. So if y'all thought we were some like bots or something and just doing this and that, you heard real life noise in the background. So there you go.
Victor, I know you said biggest thing you found an issue when you first started out, or just some of the challenges being realtors keeping that pipeline full. That was kind of something, when I first got my license. One of the biggest things I ran into is, where is business coming in? A lot of new agents just try and figure out how are they going to get their first deal, and that's always a big question for all agents. And so, pipeline, over time, Randall and I, Randall has his license. We went through this, or had his license. We went through this and trying to figure out the best way to, bring in leads, get conversations started. And when you get a lead in, it's not like they're usually going to buy right then and there. It's usually 3 to 6 months out, and that's what we learned here over time is, the work that you put in today, you'll reap those benefits here within like 3 to 6 months. So, uh,
Absolutely.
like our Rocket Digital Pro system, that right there keeps your pipeline full and keeps that lead nurture and management up. So we've definitely got that on lockdown. And that's one of the biggest things I found here over the years, just keeping that pipeline full and all. But my own advice to me is, if I had to go back and tell myself again, starting over, would be the first thing to start on would definitely be to kind of get something going to definitely keep that pipeline full, get the people in there and all. But besides pipeline, man, what would be your number one key thing to go back and tell yourself? And if you went back to the future, hopped in the car with Doc and went back and told yourself, this is what you need to focus on, and this is what you need to do to succeed as an agent. What would be your next piece besides the pipeline? Because you got to have the people coming in for that pipeline. But what would it take to get those people in for you?
So besides that, I would say awareness. um, just start promoting yourself. Learn how to brand yourself. Learn how to kind of differentiate yourself from other realtors. I mean, real estate is so broad. I mean, you can pick a niche and become the expert of that, and then kind of, as you progress in the business, eventually you'll go to other areas. But awareness is another big key to the business, and that's where the social media amplifies that. But yeah, that's the number one thing for me. It's awareness. I mean, it's telling everybody and their mother that you're a real estate agent.
Now, telling everybody can become kind of time consuming. Are you using anything right now to kind of help consolidate some of those practices? I mean, are you using anything particular to, we have a social planner in Rocket Digital Pro to where we can go in and we got posts that go out to Facebook, Instagram, uh, LinkedIn, and then your Google My Business page, and that's all automated. You can go in and set your planner up to run for an entire month, all anything you want coming out. But do you use anything like that right now?
I don't use anything like that right now.
Okay.
I'm doing everything myself. I don't have it programmed to do it
Right.
automatically. I like to. This is just me. I like to keep my thumb on the pulse a little bit more.
Oh, yeah.
So I kind of, again, with those templates that are done for us,
Right.
that I love it because I'm able to put my own touch on it. And even sometimes I'll post maybe the same thing on Instagram and Facebook, but then I'll switch it for LinkedIn, just because I don't like repeating everything over and over again. That's just the kind of person I am.
Right.
But yeah, that's an amazing program. I mean, for people that are, don't have that much time, yeah, absolutely, that's an amazing program to use. For myself, I just do it, and I do it all at once per se.
Okay.
If it's a Facebook Live, then I download the video to my laptop and then I blast it onto my other channels.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I don't have anything like that yet, but I'm just doing everything as I go.
Okay. Well, cool. Well, heck yeah, man. Well, we appreciate that, dude.
Yeah.
Now, Victor, I know that you're pretty multifaceted in real estate. So you work with traditional real estate in terms of residential buy and sell. You also work a little bit with investing. And as Eric eloquently was asking about the Section 8, great job, Eric, because that's a question, man, I think a lot of people want to kind of tap into. And thanks for bringing that up, man. Great question. And great response as well, Victor. Now, with that being said, the people don't know Victor has more talents than meets the eye. Victor also has a little bit of a little bit of dibble and dabble in with some networking with contracting and stuff. So can you tell the people, because I'm telling y'all this story because if y'all don't know, before I got with Victor on LPT at a previous brokerage, Victor helped me last minute during an inspection period. So as you guys know, if you don't know, inspection period has a certain amount of days in the contract. Well, once that days in, it's over, or you have to extend it. Well, Victor helped me move on because he was able to, get his team in there with the contractors to give me a quote to help me make sure that the buyer's agent wasn't overpricing. And come to find out they was, and it saved me thousands of dollars. So, Victor, can you tell the people a little bit about, the process of contractors, kind of like how you dibble and dabble in it, and why do you need a contractor to evaluate during inspection from your expertise?
Yeah, so I mean, we in our business, if for example, if we're presenting a seller, we're at the mercy of the buyer. So anything that the buyer finds in inspection period, they're going to try and ding that seller for a little bit more, right? Because they're not expert in the area, so they're also going to rely on contractors to come in and price the job accordingly. But I come from investing, so I come from rehabbing properties. So I have experience in in a light rehab, medium rehab, or a heavy rehab, and all of those are different within themselves. So in your situation, you needed some help because they were asking for way too much on the repairs. So they're looking to get a credit for what was it, $2,000 or $3,000 more? I don't remember now, but over what the job actually cost. So, I have expertise in that. And when you told me about it, I was like, that doesn't sound right. I mean, let's get somebody in there to evaluate it. And really, the contractor is the only one that's really knows what kind of job it's going to take and how long it's going to take. And if that doesn't sound right to you, get another quote. In my expertise, I usually get 3 or 4 quotes from contractors. Doesn't really matter the kind of job it is. I always get more than 2 quotes. And then you got to know also the right questions to ask those contractors, because they're going to play a role that they're experts in the field, but you got to kind of peel all those layers back and make sure that they are the real deal.
That's awesome, man. I like that because you're correct. I mean, it did save me thousands of dollars, and it's crazy how we ended up doing. You helped me with that way before I joined LPT, and then all of a sudden we crossed paths again. So it's good to see you then and good to see you now. Also, guys, while we're at it, like in a football game, as I referenced earlier with the Niners and Cowboys, joking with Victor, every sports game have a halftime, and I want to bring this real quick to the halftime. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel, okay? Make sure you hit the thumbs up, the like button, whatever you want to call it, because this show is bringing valuable information that if you went anywhere else, in this with these type of professionals, and they were hosting something like this, they might charge you behind. Well, over here, you getting it right here, right now on YouTube Live. So if you want to see this type of information going, you got to hit the thumbs up and you got to subscribe. Otherwise, guess what? We ain't got no motivation because we're doing this for the people. So you are motivation. You want this kind of stuff, and if you don't think you need it, well, you do. Because how much of y'all learned about this in high school? You learn how to dissect the frog, but you ain't learned nothing about real estate. Let's be real.
Life skills, baby.
So make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. So
There's some comments down too. We love questions. If there's
absolutely.
anything that you want to see on the next shows, anything that it may be, we love to interact with y'all. So throw the comments up, and we'll do what we can.
Absolutely, absolutely. Make sure you guys have comments, questions, all that, man. So Victor,
Yeah.
um, as we're getting ready close to wrapping up here, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. I had some few questions I want to get with you, man. We kind of have a roundtable discussion on this one. How can a realtor manage work-life balance? Because you hear so many people say, "I have a full-time job. I want to do it, but I don't have the time." What's your suggestion to people that say something like that or ask that question? Can a realtor do this with the job, or do they not have to have a job, or what kind of balance do you need, work life balance, to do this as a licensed realtor?
Yeah. So can it be done? I mean, in a short answer, yes. Is it sustainable over a long period of time? No. You want to be doing this full time. Because real estate, I mean, it's like I said before, it's very broad, but you don't want to let all that broadness get to you. You want to start in areas that appeal to you. And if you have a job, you can still do this on the side. I mean, you can leverage team members. You can do referrals and still, make some money, right? So there's different ways of getting into the business and then making it your number one thing, right? And let go of that 9 to 5. I mean, at the end of the day, you want to do this for yourself. You want to do it for your family. You want to build something. In my case, build something big enough to leave it behind, right? The good old legacy and generational wealth that we're after. So, real estate is the vehicle for that, really. So keeping that as an end goal. Um, I don't want to go too far away, but balance. I mean, you want to have a schedule in place. I mean, that your job is taking X amount of time away from the day. Allocate 2 or 3 hours into the real estate business. Do what you need to do. If you have to work overtime, then so be it. But at the end of the day, I would say implement those regimens in there, and then kind of flip that around. Have real estate as the number one source of income, and then maybe have a part-time job, if need to be, right? But just stay the course. I mean, it's a lot of information in real estate. So
That's awesome, man. That's awesome, man. Um, yeah, I mean, managing work life balance in general, even if you're not a realtor, it's a challenge. You can have a job and not even have your own business, and it's hard to do. So imagine having your own business with real estate. You definitely got to get those skills, man. Eric, from your perspective too, did you have anything kind of like suggestions to
Man,
kind of tie into that?
with work-life balance, I might be the worst with it because I have so much going on, and
Yeah.
and that's where I find I try to make use of every bit of my time. I used to be notorious for playing phone video games or just
Mm.
watching TV, and now I found myself, if I'm not doing something productive to further myself and what we're doing, I'm not happy at that point. So as far as the work life balance, like it's like right now we're doing this podcast. The kids are in bed. We got everyone ready to go, and we're doing this. So we find time to make things that we want to happen, and that's what we're doing. And the second part of that is automating. My thing is I like to automate as much stuff as possible. I know how you're talking about in your social post, Victor. You like to keep your hands on it. Yeah, I keep my hands on it. I still write every single post out, whether it be for my real. Well, I do have one group that it's something with Fathom where they do the automatic post. There's like three of them a week that hit it just to show some activity. But then I still take that personal approach with me going setting up my own post to go across to a couple different channels through our social planner. So that's automated. That's still running out there. I run my Facebook ads, and my Facebook ads come into our platform, and then they're getting conversations are starting with them. The pre-qualification questions to ask them. The system asks it. We get them in, we qualify them, and then they go into the system and all. And then that's where we start to have that personal conversation with them. But uh, the more you can automate on those little practices, the easier it is to make it to where it doesn't seem like it's a full time job at times. So, like I said, we do marketing, real estate. That's a lot going on in my life. But in like I said, trying to build that legacy out. So that's where the more you can do, the more you can pass on, and your kids see what you're doing, and yeah, you might. miss out on some things, but they see how hard you work, and it does give good values and ethics for them, I think, also. So
Yeah,
Awesome.
I would just add piggyback to that, which I missed, is just time blocking. Time blocking
right,
is
exactly.
very, very good. And, so
No
you're
sleeping
blocking the
in.
time to take care of whatever is on front of you, and
Yeah.
no matter what goes on in the world, take care of that first, and then move on to the next.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for time blocking, I ran through. Are you familiar with a 75 Hard Andy Frisella's program?
Yeah.
Okay. That I ran through the first time I ran through 75 Hard was over a year ago, and everyone's like it's a diet program, it's a workout program. No, it's something that teaches you time management. So when you got to do your 2 45-minute workouts, you got to do your reading, you got to do your task. Every bit of that teaches you to make sure you set aside that time, and you make sure you put that time in place, and then you find yourself doing that for those tasks, and then so next thing you know, you're time blocking everything off, and you have to get those tasks done as far as what your business does. That was a big learning point as far as me, is just time blocking everything out and making sure that you follow a schedule. And if you miss it, try and catch up later in the day. So,
Definitely.
Wow, that's a
what
lot
about you, Mike? What about your work life and balance?
You want the mic answer or do you want the business answer?
Let's do the Mike answer, sir.
Oh man. All right, LPT. This is not representing you. Quick disclaimer. This is me. Okay. So don't come at me for the brokerage. This has nothing to do with LPT. I basically tell everybody to screw off, man. In a nice way. And what I mean by that is I worked in corporate America and got my real estate license for a period of 3 years. So I had a job longer than 3 years, but when I got my license, I was still employed working 40 plus hours a week as a manager. So I had to learn how to manage time. Mind you, I'm a family man. So I also had to manage time with that. So what I did was simple. I integrated my real estate into my business. And when I'm off work, I'm done. I'm not doing real estate after 4 o'clock. I'm not doing my job after 4 o'clock. The old saying, you take work home with you. Well, I don't. That's why I tell everybody to screw off. When it's 4, we ain't talking about business. I'm solely focused on family and my own peace of mind. And you have to do that, because if you don't learn how to say no, you will always be a yes person, people pleaser.
Yep.
You got to learn how to have give you an illustration. This gallon of water, it's not completely full. As you can see, it's on low. It's like my gas tank always. It's on E. That's a real estate joke because we always driving. So if I pour this into a cup for somebody, right, I don't have a full gallon to give them. So I'm not giving them my best. I'm giving them what's left. This is why it's important to restore yourself. So me, I just do real estate simultaneously while I'm at my job. And the way I do real estate is probably not traditional. I simply network on my own. I have a lot of people in my spirit, my job. There's my clients right there. I don't have to go pay for leads and cold call and door knock. I'm not knocking those strategies, but I have a spear at my job. So everybody around me is either a buyer or a seller. So I do real estate while I'm on the job. I'm answering phone calls, getting cussed out by customers who don't know what they're talking about. And then I get to turn around and talk to my coworker. Oh, my cousin's renting right now. They're looking for a house. It's a sweet deal. But eventually you get to a point, like Victor said earlier in the show, you have to decide when your breaking point is. I don't discourage working a job while you're doing real estate, because you might have a financial situation where you need to finance your dream. So you might need to work a job to finance the real estate fees that come with it, because it's not free to be a realtor. In case you didn't know, we have fees we have to pay out. Now, once you get to a level to where you're able to do 1 to 2 deals a month, if you take that time seriously and invest in your business, okay, and then weekends I had off. So when it's weekends, I will do real estate twice a month, every other weekend. Not every weekend, but every other weekend. So if I had a weekday where I couldn't get it in because we were just busy at work, like Monday, I would say, let me replace that Monday with the Saturday coming up. And because Sunday's NFL, I chose Saturday. Okay, I'm being honest with y'all. All right. So there we go. That's what I suggest. And outgrow your job. You are not getting your license to do it on the side permanently. You're getting your license to eventually outgrow your position. That's the goal, because real estate makes more money than your job. A job has a pay grade, and I'm not knocking the job. I think a job is a good thing. But for most people getting their license, their focus is to outgrow or bring addition to what they're doing. Now, if you don't care about outgrowing your job, then that's not the priority. I'm only speaking on my goals, right? Because Eric asked me a good question, and I get asked that question constantly. That's Mike's goal. Your goal might be to retire from your job. Not a bad goal. Real estate is just an additional bonus. So whatever you want to do, it's your choice. But if you wanting to get away from your job because you're like, hey, I don't like how I'm being underpaid, undervalued, and I want to, maximize that, then go for it. Grow your business, But yeah, great question, man. Great roundtable topic, man. I think a lot of people need to hear that. We almost done wrapping up, man. So I know we all got to get to our business for tomorrow. So Victor, a couple last questions for you, brother.
Yeah.
I know that you do a lot of facets of real estate, but when you first got started, and even now with the experience that you have, is there any type of real estate that you specialize in particular, like is your go-to, even though you do, multiple forms of real estate?
Yeah. So right now I'm a buyer's agent predominantly.
Okay.
So working with a lot of buyers, and just giving them my expertise as far as I'm very good with my eyes. So I evaluated quite a bit of properties in the investment world. I'm able to bring that expertise over to my buyers and kind of let them know, hey, I have a set of eyes. I know what to look for. Not that I'm an inspector or anything. I'm not going to give them a report, but I'm able to see certain things that they may not may not have that expertise. So for me, it's being a buyer's agent, then I'm a listing agent, and then the investment side on the buyer's agent is predominantly my business. So investments for buyers that are looking to get into short-term rental, they're looking to add to their portfolio. That's mainly what I'm doing right now.
Gotcha, man. So last question before we wrap up. Is there certain types of area that you service? Because Central Florida is huge. Do you cover like any specific areas, kind of like, I'm sure you'll go where the client goes, obviously, but is there a specific area that you're like, I know this like the back of my hand and I got this on lock?
Yeah, so the area that I know back of my hand, it's my zip code 34747. I'm 6 miles away from Disney. I am in Airbnb heaven in Osceola County, here in Central Florida. So anything Osceola County for sure, I know. I can help out in Central Florida, east to west. Anything other than that, then I'll lean on my sphere. I won't do a disservice to anybody. I can travel. I can, make it a weekend if need to be, depending who that client is. But yeah, mainly here in Kissimmee, Orlando, this is the forte. So whether you're looking to buy for short-term rentals, long-term rental, multifamily, I can also help you out with that. I'm pretty good with all of that good stuff.
Man, that's awesome, man. I love it. I love it. As we get ready to wrap up, man, we're going to do a quick little outro, give everybody like a minute to kind of say whatever they want to say, and then we'll close it out here. So let's start with you, Victor, since you are, man. Anything you want to tell the people in under a minute or under that you want them to know that we might have not discussed or you want to elaborate more on?
Yeah, so I mean, I was born and raised in the Dominican Republic, so I do speak Spanish. So I'm able to help out my Latinos, my Hispanic people, and let's see. I mean, feel free to reach out. I mean, I love helping people out. Investments is my number one thing. I got into real estate, not liking real estate, but once I saw the power of it, there's no going back. I was firstly in the automotive industry. That was my number one passion, cars. And, I went to mechanic school to be a mechanic and learn the right way how to be a mechanic. But then once I got into real estate, I superseded that. So, yeah, feel free to reach out. The last thing that I'll say about real estate is don't wait to buy real estate. You buy real estate and then you wait. And there's a strategy behind that, which is, you're buying and now you're starting your equity process, right? You're not waiting to start that. So it's never going to be the perfect storm in real estate. It's all about the numbers. So study the numbers. If you're able to afford it on the monthly payment, get into it. And trust me, down the line, you're going to have quite a bit of equity built before you know it.
Amen to that, man. How about you, brother Eric? What you got for us as an outro, brother?
Man, I was gonna say it's funny that Victor came from the automotive industry because that's where Randall and I got our starts at too. So
That's awesome.
It seems pretty common with everybody. But my biggest thing for everyone today is over here at Rocket Digital Marketing, we we help real estate agents kind of take their business to that next level through marketing, lead gen, just follow up and automation on our platform. One of the biggest things we hate seeing happen is these lead gen companies, supplying agents with crap leads. So we kind of definitely want to help agents take ownership of their leads. It's kind of like a small business. We help other small businesses. Our thing is, why not treat your real estate business like a small business? I mean, that's essentially what it is, right? So we just want to make sure everyone knows we're here to help out, and our contact information is going to be below. We work with everybody, don't matter where you're at in the States. So guys down in Orlando, whether Orlando, California, New York, and we got you covered here with it. And cool thing is, me being a realtor, I get to test it all out and make sure it works. And so, I mean, conversations happen every day, and we got that lead gen on lockdown now. So
Nice.
That's awesome, man. And for me, as an outro, I just want to encourage everybody out there that wants to become a realtor, whether you join LPT or not. That's not something I put out there. I just want to encourage people to make sure you're happy. If you want to become a realtor, understand that our field is not what people think it is. Like, I hear people all the time say we're salesmen. No, we're not, because there are different levels of realtors. Now, if you're referring to people that sell timeshares, where they might be tasked with getting a certain amount of sales, maybe you can apply that ideology to them. And I'm not even sure that applies to all timeshare agents, because they have different types of timeshares. But with us as traditional realtors, LPT is not going to come to me and fire me if I don't do one deal in a year, or one deal in 3 years, or one deal in 5 years. They don't care, because it's my business, not, to pretty much to make money. So I don't have to sell you anything. What I do is I advise you and I connect you to a home. That's it. You sold yourself because you said, I want to buy a home and I need a realtor's help. So just to clear that up, guys, because realtors, we do a lot for you guys. And if you don't think we do, assholes will sell by owners whose houses are still on the market. So, I'm going to end it with that. So, yeah, guys, thank you, gentlemen, everybody. Big shout out to Victor. Thank you, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I hope we can get you back on, man.
Yeah, sure. Sure thing. This was fun.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Big shout out to my co-host as usual, Eric, the man over there. And we got Randall. We got Randall in the background. Y'all didn't hear from Randall, but here's a silent killer, man, with all the screens and the manipulation of the screens going back and forth that you're seeing, and the stuff going on. Randall is the man behind the scenes. So I'm giving my guy Randall a huge shout out, because, hey, man, we couldn't do it without him, man. He's a Jordan. I'm the Steve Kerr. So that's how we're going to roll, man. But before we go, guys, I want to encourage you one more time. Make sure you hit the thumbs up and subscribe to this channel, and we'll keep it coming. All right.
And also, one last thing, we are building out the Real Estate Revolution Facebook group. So we do go live there too. So love to see, don't have to be an agent just to join it. Anyone in the real estate profession, everybody jump in, make it a community to where we can help each other out. And that's one of the biggest things we're trying to do here, is help out other people in the profession. So
awesome stuff, man. Well, thank you, guys. And I hope you all have a nice evening. And stay tuned on the next podcast, Tuesday nights at 9:00. Stay tuned.
See y'all then.
Have a good